Hello YouTube and welcome to my review of Joker 2. Well, that's not its official title. Joker FOLIE À DEUX. I'm not French. It means madness for two. Now, this film has been getting quite mixed reviews. Critically, it hasn't done too well, and the Rotten Tomatoes scores, well, they're not ideal. The first Joker film made over $1 billion at the box office, so naturally this film was predicted to do quite well. But alas, it appears that it hasn't quite lived up to expectations. However, somewhat controversially, I actually quite enjoyed this film. Now, if you don't want any spoilers, the first half of this video is going to be a non-spoilery review. I'll put a timestamp right there telling you where to skip to if you want the spoilery review. But yeah, last night myself and my good friend Sam set off to the cinema.
Are you optimistic?
Yeah, I kind of am.
I've read the reviews-ish. I haven't got any spoilers, which I'm happy for.
Yeah, neither have I.
But who knows? It might be a disaster.
The ending might be interesting, shall we say.
And when the film ended, he was not too impressed, but he thought it was okay. I didn't mind it. I thought it was quite fun. Maybe fun's the wrong word.
So we've literally just walked out of the showing. Initial thoughts. I actually enjoyed it. I thought from the reviews it would be quite bad.
I was expecting bad, but it was good. It was good. There were some parts where I kind of dragged.
It was bizarre, and I need time to fully collect my thoughts.
I prefer the first one more because there was a bit more sense to the first one. The second one felt a bit like
this one was very artsy.
In some areas, it's a big departure from the first Joker film. This isn't really a spoiler, and I think everybody knows. I mean, Lady Gaga is playing Harley Quinn. It's somewhat a musical. Now, it's more of a jukebox musical than it is having its own original songs. And here's my first point of contention, which not many people seem to have mentioned. But I don't think Joaquin Phoenix can sing. And obviously he's singing in character as the Joker, but I kept missing certain words that he was saying. And the music choices, for the most part, I wasn't the biggest fan of. It's a weird film because at all the typical points in the film you'd expect an action scene, they replace that with like a weird out there musical number. And sometimes it works, other times I was left sitting there thinking, can this musical number hurry up? I want to get back to the character drama. Now, the character drama is the main thing that this film does really well, at least for Arthur. I think Harley Quinn is slightly underdone, like she's building up to be quite an interesting character, but it somewhat tapers off. But I suppose that's natural when this is Arthur's film. If you're in this film for an in-depth character study of Arthur Fleck, that's exactly what you're going to get. But if you're coming to this film for some sort of like Batman-esque Joker, lots of action, that you're not going to get it. Joaquin Phoenix gives an absolutely fantastic performance. He won an Oscar for playing the Joker in the last film, and you can see why. His performance is genuinely brilliant. His mannerisms, his voice, everything about it is so... it's uncomfortable. I think uncomfortable is a good way to describe the entire film, actually, but like in a good way, because those are the emotions you're supposed to feel while watching. Without spoiling too much, this is our final non-spoilery point, but the plot itself is not loads of meat to it. It's far more, as I've mentioned, a character study of Arthur Fleck than it is some big superhero plot. And that is the other thing as well, it felt like a movie. Like this is a film, it's not a superhero film. A lot of Marvel films have that sort of Marvel sheen to it. There's the CGI everywhere, and it doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a very real, very lived-in world, and for the most part, the narrative doesn't make any leaps in logic. There's a thing that happens towards the end that's a little bit like, it slightly shattered my immersion of this world. It was a bit too much, but we'll get into the spoilers now. So if you don't want spoilers, get out of here. Now, that bit at the end that I'm talking about is when the car bomb goes off. I think they say, obviously I've only watched the film once, but I think they say, oh, a singular car bomb has gone off. And I'm not being funny. Like, if a car bomb went off, it would not cause that much damage and leave the Joker, well, Arthur at that point in the film. It would not leave just Arthur alive and able to get out, and all of that felt a little bit silly because for the most part, obviously you've got the musical numbers which like they're sort of imagined. You can say that's like in Arthur's head. But yeah, that moment for me, I don't know what it was. It looked cool. Visually, it's a very nice film, but it was a bit bizarre. However, not to jump around too much, but the ending, I think it'll have caused a lot of controversy. I haven't actually seen many reviews, like spoiler reviews, online. I haven't seen anyone discuss the death of the Joker at the end of the film. But I thought it was quite nice because it's like George Lucas said, it's like poetry, it rhymes. That guy that stabs him in the prison, that is kind of the new Joker. The spirit of the Joker lives on. The point is, I thought it was quite an effective ending, and I like that it's not going to have another film. Because you build up and build up and build up of like, he's going to be sentenced to death, he's going to be put on the electric chair, all of this. Will he make it, will he not? There's an explosion, that doesn't kill him, and you're kind of like, okay, it's been set up that he's going to die, so are they going to subvert that by not killing him? And then, no, they subvert it by, before he can even get the actual sentence to death, he just gets stabbed in a corridor and dies. And I thought it was nice that the film stopped with him dying as well, because it's about Arthur, it starts and it ends with Arthur. We don't need to see the aftermath or what happens with Harley Quinn, because you could kind of expect like a, oh, Joker died in prison kind of ending, but it just stops with his face dead. Like, the second his life ends, the film ends, and I thought that's a really nice, artsy, effective way to do it. I was also a bit conflicted on the relationship between the Joker and Harley Quinn. At the start of the film, I was really, really buying it, and then when you get that reveal sort of midway through where Harley Quinn's been lying to him, and everything she says was just to get his adoration and his affection, and it becomes abundantly apparent as the film goes on that she's only really there for the Joker. I thought all of that stuff was good, but then when you get to the courtroom, her character kind of tapers off and doesn't really do anything after that. But just because it's Arthur's story, that doesn't mean you can't give other characters more depth. Speaking of other characters as well, I really liked the main guard, who's played by, I can't remember the actor's name, Brendan Gleeson from Harry Potter and Paddington 2. He was fantastic. And I think as well, his character was set up quite nicely at the start of the film, but then I think it's towards the end when him and the other guards just start beating up Arthur. It felt a little bit unearned and a little bit out of nowhere, and I don't know, maybe things were cut for time because it was already a really long film. The start of the third act is where the film lost me a bit. Act 1 I thought was quite solid. Act 2 I was really enjoying. Like, I loved the scene as well where Harley Quinn, I'll call her Lee, I think that's what she's called in the film, Lee sets fire to that piano when they're all watching the movie, and then her and Joker run out and jump on the gates. All of that was really, really cool. And it didn't do any big leaps in logic, like they didn't manage to escape the prison by setting fire to a piano. They almost got out, and the photos got in the press and all that. And yeah, I thought it was good. I do think, though, some of the other character motivations are a little bit confusing at times. I also really like that the ending of the film kind of leaves both the audience and the people of Gotham wanting the Joker. Because as nice as it is to see Arthur getting better and actually owning up to killing and doing the bad stuff that he did in the last movie, a lot of the audience and the people in the courtroom are left going, yeah, but I'm here to see the Joker. I want to see the Joker. I don't want to see Arthur. I want the Joker. And yeah, I think it's an interesting thing to leave the audience thinking about, really, because not much Joker action happens in this film. Like, he doesn't kill anyone. He doesn't do anything you'd typically say the Joker would do. There's a couple of cool scenes in the courtroom, and obviously you've got all the musical numbers, but yeah, it's a bizarre film, but a film that I thoroughly enjoyed. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not the best film I've ever seen, but I do think, maybe this is controversial, I think I prefer it to the first film. This one felt more experimental, and I'm sure that film students for years to come are going to be doing the whole our protagonist is mentally ill and let's do a musical number to symbolise his other personalities and all of that jazz. I reckon people are going to latch onto that and it may become a trope. I mean, you could argue it's a little bit tropey already, but I don't know. I think it worked. I think it was quite artistic. I thought it was quite nice. It's not a perfect film, and the start of the third act, in fact, maybe the most of the third act is kind of mid. But I did think the ending was effective. I liked the music choices. And yeah, that's my review. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this film. Am I spitting controversial bars here? Like, is this a general consensus? Or are people just being too mean to the film online? Who knows? Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy, please do remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It really helps me out a lot. You can also check out my Patreon for exclusive updates, exclusive videos, and early access to a whole bunch of stuff on this channel. Thank you very much, and goodbye.